You know, it's not the food that gets you at fast food. Actually, it's exactly the food that gets you at fast food, but it's not what gets you in there. What gets you in there is the smell of fast food. Oh, it's like that popcorn smell? If you ever been to like Disneyland or sometimes, people making popcorn, you get that sweet butter smell. Delicious, but then you get it and it's not so what you thought it might have been. But that smell of oil and just fried potatoes, you try to do it at home. I bought a sack of potatoes, and I like saying it like that, sack of potatoes. And so I bought a sack of potatoes. That was my last time, and I diced them up and had an air fryer. Ooh, it's actually pretty awesome. And I put them in there with some olive oil, because ooh, olive oil. That's how you do it. And that's not as good as whatever. I don't know what kind of bad, good oil they're using back there, but they should keep using it because when you're driving home and that smell doesn't matter if you're driving a tank, that smell will creep in and it'll come right up to the old nostrils and sink its way in there. And once it's got its hook, it's like a hook. Once it's got you, you're done for. You got to pull in. You got to get some fries at least, because that's what it's in there for. Now, if you're with people, it's fine, because usually when you're with people, you will then proceed to go home and then eat, right? Unless sometimes there is that one guy, though, where he thinks nobody's looking and everybody like passes out the food and you're driving away and you kind of like look back to make sure everything's good and you just see someone with a fistful of fries. Because there's two types of people who eat when you eat fries, right? You got your single fry at a time, which, what is that, right? They're small. You got, unless it's like a waffle fry, those crisp cut. Ooh, okay, but the fries. So, but this guy, he had to take a handful, because if you go in incognito, you got, again, it's the two options. You can do one out and just kind of sneak and then look around, or you can just one big fistful and But if you're by yourself, you got to roll that bag up for two reasons. One, so the smell, well, for the heat, but for the smell. But realistically, if you buy fast food, good luck. Your car's smelling like that for a week. Also, speaking of which, sidetracking real quick, I've been like cutting fruits and vegetables. I know this whole thing is about food. And I've been learning how to cut fruits and vegetables, which I don't think I should need to be saying at this, but I mean, I'm learning. So I've been cutting the onion, and when you cut the onion, you cry, ooh, tears. It's the great way if you ever need. You can't really be secretive about it though, because onions do have that oil, man. You get that. I cut onions, and 3 days later, I was just like, getting my beard all done up, and I was like, what's that onion smell? Because you wash your hands, you do the whole nine. That oil just sticks to you for like 3 days. You're like, when did I even cook onion? Right? It's so long. It stays with you so long you forget when you even had it. But there it is, because it's 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 there. So you got to roll up the bag. All right. So because the smell is one thing. Because good luck, it's in the car. But if you don't, when you roll up the bag, you have less of a chance of getting to the fry, right? Because you always think when you're driving home, oh, I'll just have one at a stoplight. You've never wanted a red light more in your entire life. Like usually you're just like green, green, no, and it's usually red, red, red. It's the only time you've ever wanted to come to a stop while driving, because you're like, oh, I could just have one. I could just sneak one. If you're buying for more than one person, you can sneak one of somebody else's and then go, oh, look, you got the weak one. No, you buy two and then you say you only bought one. Don't do any of that. Because what happens is you start eating them. The moment you start eating them, you think you just have one or two handfuls. And you get back home and you go, oh yeah, because you eat other stuff, right? Because you get other stuff sometimes. And so then you go back to the fries and you eat like two fries and you go, what? I thought I got more fries than this. Like I ordered the biggest one, and that's why you leave it in the bag, because you don't want to see how much you buy. You just like, that's why you leave it in the bag, because it's just, And then but it's so empty that you got to pull it out of the bag to look at it like it's a microscope staring up into the universe, looking for one tiny crumble of creme. You even got to pat the back a little bit just to make sure there's not like a secret compartment full of French fries. And then once that's completely gone and you're saddened that there's no more, you then go to the bag. And then you see because there's always bag fries. I'm gonna come up with I'm gonna come up with a term like loner fries, the fries that try to escape. But and again, and there's always two types. Well, there's not always two types, but in this scenario, there's two types. You got the couple of fries, or when you get like the bonus onion ring, something like that. It's lame when you order onion rings and you get one fry because you're like, what the hell is this? You should have given me one more onion ring, right? I could have ordered a small fry with these but you get the couple of fries, or you get like the colossal jumbo once in a bag, 1 out of 10 like mystery bag. It's like a mystery item. It's like 3 feet long of a French fry. If you find that, there's no other fries in the bag. It's kind of like a unicorn, and that's all you get. It's like, oh, I kind of wanted more fries. Like, it's so exciting. You're distracted for a minute, and then you realize, oh yeah, I kind of wanted more fries. So you always gotta roll up that bag, so you don't eat too many. And that kind of reminds me of the first time. I don't know why. It reminds me of this first time where I heard somebody else like order. Because usually you don't care. You're only trying to like order, especially if you had a fast food place. You don't even want to be recognized. But when you're a kid, everything fascinates you. Everything's like, oh, what is that, a rock? I want to know what that is. And so I remember we were on a family vacation up in the mountains. Ooh, and we were at a McDonald's. And I saw these two guys walk in, these two gentlemen, and they walk into the cash register, and right off the bat, without any leeway, they said 100 hamburgers. That blew my mind as a 7-year-old. I was so, when you're so shocked, all you can do is grab somebody's arm and just tug it because you have no word. You're just so flabbergasted by what happened. You're like, and they didn't. I mean, they didn't hear what nobody else heard it. So you're just tugging it, but you can't formulate the words. 100 hamburgers, 4 supersized fries. Back in the day, they had supersized. You guys know what I'm talking about. And then four Diet Cokes. I don't know if that was trying to offset everything else, which, come on, don't we all kind of know that the diet is not, and I'm not saying anything, but don't you take the one good thing out and you just leave a bunch of poisonous acid? I'm sorry, it just doesn't taste good, and it just feels like it feels like all I can feel is the carbonation. Like, at least with the regular soda, there's so much sugar. You're like, oh, this is delicious. But you take that out of there, and you're like, oh my goodness, is this melting my ribs? I'm just kidding. I love soda. I drink so much of it. Root beer, go for it. I got so sidetracked. Oh yeah, so they ordered all this stuff, and I'm trying to do the math. How are they going to divide it up? One guy was a little bit bigger than the other. And I was like, are they going to eat 50-50? 50 hamburgers, 2 big fries, and then 2 drinks? I was trying to figure it out. The only other thing I remember, that to me is one thing that sticks out. I don't know why. That, and the only thing that sticks out from those trips, because we'd go up in the mountains quite a bit. There's probably something else. But I remember this one time we went there was a pool near the cabin. And all the adults were like, oh, it's chlorine. So if you open up your eyes, it's fine. So, you always were like, what if you... See? You worry about things like that. And then, but it's chlorine? You're fine. So we all opened up our eyes. Turns out wasn't chlorine. It was salt water. And, salt water, that made our eyes all puffy, and we started crying. And you just, so all night long, for the rest of the night, for hours, the whole night, There's just like a bunch of kids up in the mountains, had the time of their lives, but due to the salt water, we're then for hours just crying. We all had ice packs like taped to our eyes because there's just the swelling of the salt. Because we were all like opening up our eyes. It's chlorine. It's fine. It burns a little bit, but hey, it's it's something. And so, you really you got to be careful of also too, going back to I had a lot of time, especially because then I was crying about how many burgers. Because also too, you think, well, if that guy could order 100, I could probably order three, and you don't get to order three. You never get to order that much, right? And so you're thinking like a hundred's amazing, but logistically, like when you get it, are you going to count those burgers? Are you going to individually go, all right, so 1, 2, 3. They only gave me 99 of these things. I asked for 100. Let's go back around and turn. Like, imagine if they had special orders, like we don't want any pickles or something like that, or we want pickles on 25 of them. Total nightmare. One time, the only thing that even comes close is one time I went and ordered something with only ketchup and mustard. I know, it's what I do. But I only ordered it with ketchup and mustard, and they decided that that's all I wanted. So they gave me a hamburger with only no meat. There was nothing. There was just ketchup and mustard. And I come from one of those families that's like, yeah, to eat the whole everything on the plate, and you don't leave until everything on the plate is eaten. And I'm sitting there like nibbling on like a hamburger with ketchup and mustard. Good thing I had some fries to stuff in there. But you know, sometimes that smell can either save you or ruin you, because it was the smell that brought us there, and I was left with disappointment. And that only happened one other time, and it was both an equal negative and a positive, because while I was shocked to what happened, I was saved by the smell of French fries. I remember late one night, we're coming home from a camping outing, and my dad pulled into a drive-through because, probably he had been driving for a while and with a bunch of kids, and yeah, I would probably want some caffeine too. Although I think it was diet. Just kidding. And so he pulls in. This is probably why I did what happens next. And so we pull in. Now I'm asleep, peacefully, beautifully, I might add. Just like that. And he decides, well, I won't even say. What happens is all of a sudden, a big thud concaves my diaphragm, and I wake up joltingly. Like, imagine being peacefully awake. I imagine I was dreaming. I imagine it was a nice dream. And then I imagine an Acadian fist just came and punched me in the face, and that woke me up to a physical fist concaving my diaphragm. Because I went, and I'm just looking around like, what is happening? And I look over, and it's my dad, who had reached over and punched me in the chest. And it goes quiet. And he looks at me and he goes, it could have been a knife, gringo. And when you're so shocked, you don't know. Again, you're like, oh, what? And what? And then all of a sudden, you start to smell that delicious, good, bad, that oily, like, oh, them fried potatoes. I hope I said that right. And he goes, oh, do you want some French fries? And that kind of healed my diaphragm enough to be like, to puff out, yes. And they were delicious. Although those fries came in a cup. When they try to switch it up and they like throw it in something different? Just I don't know. But anyways, thank you guys so much for hanging out. And I hope you guys took a laugh. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Until next time, bye-bye.